Transformations. This is a digital lesson, and this one is basketball themed. So it's a lot of fun for the students in practicing the transformations of reflection, dilation, translation, and rotation around the origin. So the lesson starts with explaining to the students what transformation means and what it means in mathematics. And then students are given the definition of the four different transformations they're going to be using in this lesson. They can refer back to slide 3 whenever they need to. And we're going to start with reflection. So students are going to use the fill color feature of Google Slides in order to show the reflection. So here we're going to reflect across the y-axis. So for the squares the students want to color in, they're just going to click and hold and scroll across until they've highlighted what they want to color in. And they can highlight just a rectangle at a time. Then they come up here to the fill color feature and they can choose any color they like. And they're going to do that with a couple more squares. And it has to be a mirror image, equal distance from the y-axis. And here they've shown their reflection. So the next one, they're going to do the same thing. This time it's a T shape, and they're going to reflect across the y-axis. So it's really important they know which one's the y-axis. They have to come over here. It has to be equal distance from the y-axis. And again, they can choose any color they like. Now there's a reflection across the y-axis. The next slide, we're going to use that very same shape, but this time across the x-axis. So it's going to be above. And they can choose any color they like. Reflection across the x-axis. The next one they're going to do is a reflection across a line. So here is the line x equals 1. Now it has to be equal distance from the line x equals 1 and a mirror image. So they would come over here. Just pick a different color. And there we are reflecting over a line. The next slide, they're going to be reflecting over a different line. This line is y equals -1. So it's going to be down here below, equal distance from the line. Then they're shown what to do when they're reflecting across a line when their figure's already partly crossing that line. So we look at these 2 points that are on the y-axis or the x-axis. We're reflecting across the x-axis. So these 2 points act like a hinge, and then we're just going to flip that figure straight up. So they're going to do that on the next slide. They're going to show this same figure reflected across the y-axis. Then we move on to translation. So translation, we're moving a figure up, down, left, or right without changing the orientation. So we're going to just start with a simple square. So we're going to move 6 units to the right. So they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, color it in. The next translation is a little bit different, a little bit more difficult. This one they're going to move twice. So they're going to translate this figure 4 units to the left and then 2 units down. This figure, they're going to translate 6 units to the right and then 4 units up. And then we have one more translation. Then we move on to rotation. So all of these are rotating around the origin. And this one they want to move counterclockwise 90 degrees, which means they're going to be moving down into quadrant 3. They're going to use the formula here, -yx. So they take each one of these coordinates, the vertex of the triangle, and they're going to use this formula and convert it. So here we have -1, 2. If we put it in the formula, we have -2, -1. So that point will be here. -1, 4 will be now -4, -1. And -3, 2 will be -2, -3. And then when they get done putting the points in place, then they've got these bars they can just click and hold. Same with the circles, you just click and hold, and while you're holding, you can move them into place. And there they've shown a rotation counterclockwise 90 degrees. 90 degrees would put it into the next quadrant. They're going to do the same thing here. This one, they're going to move clockwise 90 degrees. So clockwise would put it again into quadrant 3. They're going to move the points and the lines using the formula y negative x. Here they're going to be rotating 180 degrees, which would put it in the opposite quadrant. They just take each of the coordinates and they're going to change the sign. And then the final slide for rotation, they're going to show 3 different rotations, and they have the formulas for each one, and it should show this figure moving in a circle, rotating around the origin. Then we move on to dilation. They're going to dilate this figure by a scale factor of 2, which means they're going to take the coordinates of each of these points and multiply by 2. So if this is 1, 1, the new point will be 2, 2. -1, 1 will now be -2, 2, and so on. And then when they finish putting the points in place, they can finish their figure with the bars. The next one's a triangle. This one they're dilating by a scale factor of 3, so they want to take their coordinates and multiply by 3. And then they have a scale factor of a fraction less than 1. So if the fraction is 1/3, that means they're going to be multiplying their coordinates by 1/3 or dividing by 3. And it'll be a smaller figure. And then their final transformation will be two transformations on the same figure. So they're going to translate this figure 5 units to the left, and then they're going to reflect it over the x-axis. The final slide is a drag and drop vocabulary, so it's just a review of the terms. Creating a mirror image by flipping a figure over a line is called, and they're just going to click and hold on each one of these and move them into the correct place. So that is a digital lesson, transformations, this one basketball themed.